Hello, everybody, and welcome to the discussion. I'm here with Matthew Kohler, co-founder of Remote Wellness Solutions. That's RWS for everybody. How's it going? And can you tell me just a little bit about your company?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the invitation. Happy to be here. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, a little bit about RWS. So, what RWS is we are a consultative virtual health and wellness solutions partner, distributor, and program architect.
Right? What does that mean exactly in plain English?
Absolutely. So, what that really means is that what we want to do is we want to consult with you. So we take a consultative approach to building custom virtual health and wellness programs for employer groups.
And so, who is it that you're actually helping with your company? Is it HR? Is it brokers? Is it a mix? Is there people other than that?
We there are a number of types of different groups that we're able to help. So some of those folks do include, like you mentioned, brokers, employer groups, uh, self-funded plans and captives. We've done some work with preventive care management programs, and other wellness platforms and folks like that. TPAs and PEOs, benefit administrators, folks like that, can all find value in our services.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about how you're helping businesses, HR
Yeah,
groups.
absolutely. So when we're consulting with an employer group or a human resources professional, and especially with both of those, what we want to do is we want to make the process of um, implementing, deploying virtual health and wellness programs, easier, simpler, streamlined, less administrative work, and also, as an HR person or as a business owner, you're probably not a virtual health and wellness expert. You may not pay attention to all of the latest trends, all of the latest news, all of the latest developments. You probably just don't do those things. You may not have familiarity with the landscape of all the various different vendors out there, and there are a lot. Um, and so that's where RWS comes in. We have those relationships. We have a history of working with a number of different vendors for a number of different products and solution sets. And so that really gives us the ability to take that part off of your shoulders so that you don't have to be the expert. So we can look at what you already have in place, what's working, what's not, what should stay, what should go, what gaps need to be filled, and so those are conversations that we have, and then we present options for various different solutions, and from there it's your ball game.
So basically, you help with making it easy process for the employer.
We want to make it a very easy, seamless process. If we're making a change, we want that transition to be very easy. And we can help with things like marketing drip campaigns after implementation. And we want to assist in making enrollment and implementation super super easy, and we're good at it, and that's a big part of what we do.
So, employee benefits, that's what you guys specialize in. I'm understanding virtual care is kind of your primary um, forte. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Yeah, they're all different kinds of virtual care. Obviously, everyone is pretty familiar with the traditional telemedicine product, which is essentially a 24/7 virtual urgent care style product. Um, and we have that product available. It's definitely a one of the flagship products. I really think that we have, really three core products, that really make a ton of sense for most employee populations, and virtual urgent care certainly is one of those. Um, uh, Other than virtual urgent care, though, something that is really really popular right now, obviously that's where that 70% number came from, is virtual primary care. So you can actually have a virtual primary care physician, where you see the same doctor every time. It's an ongoing relationship. They're able to treat and manage medications, manage chronic conditions, and also there's continuity of care between your urgent care and your primary care doctor within the same integrated app. So alongside those two products, also very, very important is virtual behavioral health products and services. And so we have those available, everything from virtual counseling and EAP style products to virtual psychiatry that's actually available now as well.
Okay, and so what kind of things can happen on these virtual care programs? Are they able to get medicines prescribed to them? What happens on these?
So a primary care visit, would essentially be very, very similar to a primary care visit in person. The only difference is you're doing it through a screen, but you're talking to your doctor about your health, and your symptoms and that sort of thing. And when clinically appropriate, they do have the ability to prescribe medication through both and manage medications. So, for example, if you get sick and got a sore throat, maybe you're or an ear infection, something like that, maybe you get an antibiotic, whether that's primary or urgent care can prescribe medications like that. Or maybe you have high cholesterol or high blood pressure, and you need ongoing managed medication for something like that. That's a great fit for virtual primary care. And one of the cool things the other cool things that we like to pair with virtual primary, virtual urgent care, and counseling are some of these prescription discount programs. We even have $0 copay prescription formularies for both acute care as well as chronic condition support. So those types of products are available. And I think you didn't ask me this, but I want to throw it out there that I'm a huge fan for all of these products, whether it be prescriptions, whether it be primary care, urgent care, or counseling. I'm looking to implement zero copay models, because what's really important, what I want everybody that listens to this to understand, is that Remote Wellness Solutions, RWS, we view these tools as cost savings and claim redirection tools. And so we do that by carving out the programs, separating it still alongside your major medical and other benefits, but we're going to carve these out so that when you utilize them, they're not reporting back to your major medical carrier. So it's not creating utilization. And when you keep it internal, you have a primary care doctor prescribes you a medication, and then you're able to get it from that zero copay formula. You're providing convenience and increased access. And that's really the key is increasing access and, really incentivizing the employees to use these benefits by, a number of ways. And one of those, again, is a zero copay or zero cost visits is probably a better way to say that, and $0 prescriptions. So make it easier, make it more convenient, make it less expensive for the employee, and they're going to use it, and that will result in cost savings for the plan.
Well, you're saying it better than claims redirection is not going to the hospital at all. I understand you guys also have wellness programs, fitness programs, incentivizing employees to be healthier. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
In virtual care and wellness programs, both of those can function to support employee wellness. And one of the most important ways to do that is to catch potentially serious conditions early. So if we're catching these conditions early because we're not avoiding getting care and we're living a healthier lifestyle, then that's not a claim that down the road is going to become a serious major or serious medical issue that's going to alter someone's life, and also a huge cost to the plan. If we can catch it earlier through something like a wellness program, I'm a huge fan of that. So some of the wellness programs that we have available that we can pair with your population, have features like wellness coaching, fitness coaching, nutrition coaching, all sorts of different things like that. Also gym memberships, incentive programs, where you can even have little fun internal competitions, and point systems to where if you're reaching certain benchmarks, you get incentives and have competitions with prizes, and it's just a fun and actually effective way to engage the employee population and encourage healthier choices.
That sounds like a great way to build employee culture. So,
Absolutely.
another thing we were talking about was virtual dental, and I kind of just missed it a little bit, and you filled me in that there's a lot of benefits to it. Can you tell me how that can actually and benefit the employee?
Yeah, we were talking before the show about some of the things, and he's like, "What's this teledentistry?" And that's totally not an uncommon response. So I'm not offended. That's and there's a lot of folks that that don't see a practical use case scenario. They can't envision that for what would I actually use teledentistry for. And I can tell you that there's actually a tremendous value to the employee, to the user of this product, as a convenient and inexpensive path to a second opinion. So everyone's gone to the dentist before, and maybe not everyone, but a lot of us have gone to the dentist before and gotten recommendations on a treatment plan that we were just unsure of. So when you're in that scenario and you're told, we need to do 2 crowns, immediately, or your child needs to get all of their wisdom teeth pulled out right now, it's just one of those things that you're put in a position where you either have to trust the dentist as the expert, and that make a decision that they're being totally straight with you, and this is absolutely right. This is absolutely a necessary treatment. Is that the case? Well, with this teledentistry program, you can actually provide the virtual dentist with the treatment plan and some information about what's going on, and they can give you a second opinion on, is this really necessary, or is this something that can wait until later? So that's a really practical use case. So, and it makes a ton of sense to do that before you go and spend thousands of dollars on dental and on dental cost. So you can accept the recommendation of the dentist, or you can go and get a second opinion somewhere else where you're going to have to schedule it probably months in advance as a new patient, and pay for another visit. And so that costs you money, whereas we can use teledentistry now just to do that same day as the appointment, make a quick, fast, and informed decision as to just what to do next. A lot of times, teledentistry is not designed what it do what it can't do. It's not going to fill a cavity. It's not going to pull a tooth. It's not going to give you, you're not going to get a crown virtually, at least not yet. But what it is designed to do is to help people understand what are their options and what is the best path forward based on a treatment plan and what's going on with them. And so another use case for the teledentistry too is emergency room avoidance, because we all know that dental problems don't just happen Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, right? They happen all the time, and it's not always a convenient time for it to happen. So what happens a lot of times is a simple dental issue turns into an urgent care visit or an emergency room visit, because it was inconvenient timing, or because someone was traveling and they're far away from their dentist and they can't, they're not able to visit their dentist right away. So in those scenarios, teledentistry again comes in extremely handy. Maybe they make a recommendation about some over-the-counter treatment, or, if you're traveling, do I need to be seen immediately here? Do I need to seek medical care now? Or can this be something that can wait until I get back home from vacation? Those scenarios, it becomes very, very valuable. And just from a peace of mind standpoint, from a treatment standpoint, if necessary, after the evaluation, these virtual dentists can actually prescribe medication when clinically necessary as well, to just get you over the hump until you can get to an in-person dentist, if that's what needs to happen. So, I hope that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I think that it's a really underappreciated product, and it does provide practical cost savings to the plan through emergency room and urgent care avoidance for simple problems that probably didn't need an ER or urgent care visit.
And similarly, we were discussing virtual veterinary care.
Yeah.
Which again, I was like, why would we need this? And then you explained very similarly the dental program like scenario, and then all of a sudden, okay, the veterinary care kind of made sense. So can you translate that a
Absolutely.
little bit?
Yep. So, so right now through the virtual vet services that we can pair you with, they can treat your cat and your dog. And I understand, my understanding is that is changing. They're going to expand the capabilities of what types of pets that can be treated. But right now it's cats and dogs. So what's the practical use? What would you do with a virtual vet visit? Well, the answer is, you know, you can use this type of service to decide whether an in-person visit is necessary. Is this something urgent that I need to, immediately take my pet to, an animal hospital? Or, is this something that I can wait a few days and make an appointment in person? Do I need to go in person at all? Because there is the ability for them to have a video conference, a web conference, and so they can see what's going on, and make recommendations and even prescribe medication for your pet over the phone, or over the web conference. But again, it's also similar to the dental, like you mentioned. It's great as a second opinion tool. So I personally have been in a situation where I've taken my dog to the vet, and I am told that this is a situation that's going to require thousands of dollars of surgery. And so it's one of those situations where you then have to make a tough decision. Do I do the surgery, or do I not do the surgery, or do I get a second opinion? So this is just a really easy way to help you decide what's appropriate as far as a plan moving forward for your pet.
Yeah, that's great. So also, I am understanding you guys got several options for lab testing, based upon products you already have, but you've just brought on recently a new one. Can you tell us a little bit about your products you have and what this new one is that you've brought on?
Yeah. So we have some lab testing available through the virtual primary care products that we work with. And when we're talking about genetic testing, lipid panels, things like that, are relatively basic, but pretty standard for what you might receive from an in-person annual visit. Just doing the dry blood sample and a cheek swab a lot of times is what a lot of these programs do. There may be some variance there, and I think those are great, and it's a great part of, and it's included in the price of the virtual primary care for every user. But if you want to take a little deeper dive into genetic testing, we have developed a relationship, and so we now have partnered with some folks who are able to help us to provide some really, really in-depth biomarker testing.
And I was going to say, and how exactly is it different as far as from your ordinary standard lab testing to
Sure.
the new genetic testing?
It's just a lot more in depth, and this is going to tell you things, like genetic predispositions. It's going to tell you things about optimal, you're going to receive information about optimized nutrition. What's the best time of day to eat for you? What are some of the best things to eat for you? It's going to tell you about, all kinds of, and again, I'm not a genetic testing expert, but what I do know is that this type of information is extremely useful to your wellness coach, to your nutritionist, and to your fitness coach, even potentially to your primary care doctor. And so the most valuable piece of this is the ability to possess and provide this data to help those medical professionals that you work with. And again, we want to integrate all these things together into one app. Okay. So, but we want to have as much data at the fingertips available for these primary care, urgent care counselors, psychiatrists, as possible. And so really in-depth biomarker testing In this one in particular that we're discussing, is testing over 100 different biomarkers. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I have all of those memorized, but it's very in depth, and it's about the most robust biomarker testing program that I have found and that I've come across. And so I'm really, and there's some AI capabilities as far as interpreting the data, and so it's a really fast result, and it's really in depth. Just really, really interesting preventive care tool.
That sounds really interesting. So I know we've just barely touched your book of products.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give me 5 to 10 products that are just kind of standing out in your mind as far as things we haven't touched? No rundowns, just basic bullets and points about what it is that you guys do offer. Like,
we have well over 150 configurable, customizable solutions, ranging from vision, hearing, and dental, provider discount networks. So you're talking about discounts on dental exams, discounts on crowns, on fillings, all these things. And we're talking pre-negotiated prices with a very robust nationwide dental network. So that's a product, for example, that I like to pair with the teledentistry. It really does, a lot of the problem with a dental, not to say it's a problem, but there are limitations with dental insurance products. We don't sell insurance, but that there's a maximum. There is a maximum benefit for just about every PPO dental plan out there, and it's usually $1,000 to $1,500. Well, you can burn through that in one visit pretty easily. In the dentist office, you really can. So what happens a lot of times is people will end up putting off treatment because they've burned through their maximum benefit for the year. So maybe they do need those 2 crowns, but they're going to wait on the one until next year. And then it becomes a problem and becomes then an emergency room claim, because they got an infected tooth or an impacted tooth or whatever the case may be. So there's all kinds of different scenarios like that. But the vision, dental, and hearing discount programs are very, very valuable in the real world, and very, very usable. Vision discounts on things like lenses, frames. You get complimentary eye exams, and we pair multiple nationwide networks together, just so a lot of times, because it just makes sense, because one person might like to shop at CVS to pick up their prescription, another person might like to go to their local guy down the street, somebody else may want to go to Walmart. So we try to pair those 2 together, so you just have more options, and they're very, very inexpensive to do that. So those are a few. I also am a fan of prescription savings programs. Huge fan. And that's when I'm talking about prescription saving programs, what I really mean is $0 prescription formularies. And so what that means is you have a long list, and there are a couple of different kinds, but both kinds have a very long list of over 1,000 different prescriptions that can be that the user can get for $0. They can go to their pharmacy, pick it up at the counter, $0. They can have it shipped to their front door at no extra cost. And so when we say acute formulary, what that means is that it's like 95 to 98% of any prescriptions that you could be prescribed at in-person urgent care or through primary care. There's going to be a generic version of that on the acute formulary, more than likely. And you can get those again for $0. There's also chronic care formularies available. And what does that mean? We're talking about maintenance medications, blood pressure medications, cholesterol medications. There are even anxiety and depression medications that are included on some of those. So, and even if your prescription is not on the $0 formulary, there's a very robust discount network. So you can get 50, 60, 70% discounts on a lot of these. If you can't get it for $0 through the program, you can likely get a big discount. That's a great.
I understand you're working with some companies working on GLP-1s. Is that right?
Yeah, we do have weight loss management programs in place, I think that's a big conversation right now. A lot of folks a lot of groups are having to take those off the list of covered medications for their employees, and that's kind of a tragedy, especially for those folks who have been on it or are seeking those kinds of solutions, because as many people know, that those, as effective as those programs and medications are, in many cases, they're also very expensive if you're having to pay out of pocket. And so again, this is the program that we can provide is an employee paid program, but those employees are going to be paying much, much lower prices than they would if they go and try to buy these things out of pocket. So again, it's a volume game. And so again, we have access to preferred pricing, preferred discounts for your folks that make the cost of these medications and weight loss management programs more affordable, more predictable, and on a subscription based program. And as an employer, and frankly, just backtracking just a little bit, frankly, what the monthly cost of these medications and programs are really pretty comparable to what most folks have been paying through their insurance. So they're not going to pay a whole heck of a lot more in most cases than they would if this would have been continued to be covered under the plan. So in those scenarios where they've lost coverage, we can immediately implement the remote wellness solutions product for weight loss management. And we can actually do that at no cost to the employer. And we can give all those employees immediate access, and we can do that at no cost to the employer.
That's great. So I know you guys, your team has a big consultation coming up here, so I know you're pressed for time. But if we could wrap this up, how do they get a hold of you? Your website, your contact information.
Good question. So check out our website, remotewellnesssolutions.com. You'll find link to our socials on there. You'll find our information on the contact page, phone number, email, all of that. Also, go check us out on LinkedIn. And you'll find a book an appointment button on my profile. And you can grab 30 minutes on my calendar and we can start the conversation there.
Well, again, thank you very much, Matthew, for your time. And it was very informative, and I hope to have you back on here.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.